What if being quiet in conversations isn't a sign of social discomfort, but a marker of higher intelligence? Most people assume that the smartest voices are the loudest ones in the room, but psychology tells a very different story. In fact, some of the most cognitively sharp individuals prefer thinking time over talking, and the reason is far more fascinating than it seems. Psychology and neuroscience reveal that silence often signals depth, not absence. In this video, you'll discover the science-backed reasons why intelligent people tend to pause, reflect, and think before they speak. Some of these insights challenge everything commonly believed about confidence and communication. Stay until the end. The final reason explains why silence can actually be a social advantage. Smart people often take longer to respond, not because they're unsure, but because their brains are doing more work. Psychology reveals that deeper cognitive processing requires time. Instead of reacting instantly, high-intelligence minds analyze nuance, context, and implications. Research on cognitive load shows that people with strong analytical abilities naturally engage more neural pathways when evaluating information. This means ideas are examined from multiple angles before being expressed. If this behavior feels familiar, it actually indicates thoughtful reasoning rather than hesitation. Think of it like a chess grandmaster pausing before a move. Silence isn't inactivity, it's strategy. Many people talk to fill silence. Smart people don't feel that pressure. Studies in psychology suggest that higher intelligence correlates with greater tolerance for ambiguity. When the brain accepts uncertainty, there's less urgency to speak prematurely. Instead of rushing to conclusions, intelligent individuals sit with unanswered questions. This allows better judgment and more accurate insights. If there's a pause before responding, it often means the mind is still exploring possibilities. Most people miss this. Talking quickly can feel confident, but thinking carefully often leads to better outcomes. Emotional intelligence plays a huge role here. Psychology shows that people with strong emotional regulation skills are less impulsive in speech. They pause to let emotional reactions settle before responding. Neuroscience research highlights the prefrontal cortex, the brain's control center. In emotionally intelligent individuals, this area actively moderates responses, especially in social situations. Silence becomes a buffer, preventing reactive or regrettable statements. If conversations sometimes feel calmer when staying quiet, that's not withdrawal. It's emotional mastery. Smart people often prefer fewer words with more meaning. Linguistic psychology suggests that individuals with higher verbal intelligence focus on accuracy rather than quantity. Speaking less allows them to choose words carefully. This is why their statements often land with more impact. Instead of verbal clutter, there's clarity. Silence becomes a tool for refining ideas before releasing them into conversation. Like a sculptor chiseling away excess stone, intelligent minds remove unnecessary language to reveal the core message. Research on active listening indicates that intelligent individuals gather more data before forming opinions. Silence creates space for observation, tone, body language, and unspoken cues. This behavior often gets misinterpreted as disengagement. In reality, it signals heightened awareness. The brain is absorbing patterns, not waiting to talk. If this resonates, it actually shows strong social intelligence. Listening deeply allows smarter responses later, responses that consider more than just words. Talking requires mental resources. Studies in neuroscience show that speech production activates multiple brain regions simultaneously. Intelligent people are often selective about when they spend that energy. Instead of constant verbal output, they reserve speech for moments that matter. This selective engagement helps maintain mental clarity and reduces cognitive fatigue. Silence, in this sense, acts like a battery-saving mode for the brain. Psychology reveals that people who constantly talk often seek external validation. Smart individuals tend to rely more on internal standards. Approval isn't required to feel secure in their thoughts. This reduces the urge to speak just to be noticed. Silence becomes neutral, not uncomfortable. If validation seeking feels unnecessary, that's a sign of cognitive independence. Millions of people equate visibility with value, but intelligence often disconnects the two. Social psychology studies indicate that people who speak less, but with intention, are often perceived as more authoritative. Pauses create anticipation. Words carry more weight when they're not constant. This is why leaders and experts often use silence strategically. The brain of the listener fills gaps with attention and respect. If others lean in when someone finally speaks, that's not coincidence. It's cognitive signaling. Longitudinal studies in psychology suggest that reflective thinkers make better decisions over time. Preferring thought over talk leads to fewer regrets, stronger problem solving, and clearer values. This habit compounds. Over years, thoughtful silence shapes wiser choices. What looks like quiet now becomes clarity later. Most people focus on being heard. Intelligent people focus on being meaningful. Psychology reveals that preferring thinking time over talking isn't a flaw. It's a marker of depth, emotional intelligence, and cognitive strength. Silence in this context is not absence, it's preparation, it's discernment, it's intention. If these traits feel familiar, they signal a mind that values understanding over noise. A brain wired for depth in a world obsessed with speed. If this insight resonated, subscribe for weekly psychology content that helps decode human behavior and unlock deeper self-awareness. And next, explore why overthinking might actually be a hidden strength, not a weakness.